Captain Lisa Harrington stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, staring at the strange readings on her screen. It was 2157, and humanity had spread throughout the solar system, with bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan. But they had never gone farther. The edge of the solar system, the Kuiper Belt, was still the frontier. "Captain, the signal is getting stronger," said Officer Paul Jackson, his voice excited. "I've never seen anything like it." Lisa nodded. "Keep tracking it. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we found something unusual." The Defiant was a research vessel, one of humanity's most advanced ships. Its job was to study the outer solar system. No one expected it to find aliens. The signal led them to a small icy object. As they got closer, the object changed. It opened up like a flower, revealing a sleek ship inside. It was nothing like human ships. It glowed with blue light and seemed to float without engines. "All stations, alert status," Lisa ordered, her heart racing. "But no weapons. We don't want to start a war." The alien ship sent a message in perfect English. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We come in peace." Within hours, the news reached every corner of Earth and its colonies. Aliens were real, and they had found humanity. 3 days later, Lisa stood in the United Nations Hall in New York, watching as the alien stepped out of its ship. It called itself Ambassador Zixtal from the Galactic Concord, a union of over 200 alien species. Zixtal looked almost human, except for his blue skin and large, dark eyes. He smiled at the crowd of world leaders and spoke in a gentle voice. "We have watched your species for some time," Zixtal said. "Your television signals reached us decades ago. We waited until you were ready. Now, we offer you membership in the Galactic Concord as a Class D developing species." President Helen Rodriguez stepped forward. "What does Class D mean?" "It means we will help you grow," Zixtal explained. "We will share some technology, protect you from dangerous species, and guide your development. In return, you will follow Concord laws and contribute resources and labor to our projects." The world leaders talked for days. Some were suspicious, but most were excited. Faster than light travel, cures for diseases, clean energy. The Concord promised all these things. "We should accept," Lisa told the president during a private meeting. "This is humanity's chance to join something bigger than ourselves." 1 week after first contact, Earth signed the agreement. Celebration parties filled streets around the world. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Later that night, Zixtal sent a private message to the Concord Council. "Humans accepted our terms without much negotiation. They are eager for technology and seem harmless enough. They are physically stronger than most Class D species, but their technology is primitive. They will make good workers for the outer colonies. Their adaptability is unusual, but not concerning. Classification as Class D is appropriate." 6 months later, Lisa Harrington became captain of the first human ship fitted with Concord technology. It could travel faster than light, but only to approved destinations. The ship's AI contained blocks that prevented humans from fully understanding how it worked. "It's amazing technology," said engineer Alan Peterson as he and Lisa inspected the new engines. "But have you noticed they never explain how anything actually works? They just install it and tell us which buttons to push." Lisa frowned. "They're helping us advance faster than we could on our own. We should be grateful." "Maybe," Alan said. "But I can't help feeling like they're giving us the kids' version of everything." Lisa looked at the strange metal of the engine core. They'd been spacefaring for thousands of years. "I'm sure they know what's best for new species like us." On the other side of the galaxy, the Concord Council added humanity to their list of useful species. Not important enough to worry about, but useful. None of them suspected that in just a few years, they would regret that decision. 5 years passed since humanity joined the Galactic Concord. Earth now had 3 ships that could travel to nearby star systems. Humans worked on alien worlds, mining resources, and building structures for the Concord. Most people believed this was a fair trade for the new technology they received. Chief Engineer Alan Peterson did not agree. He sat in his small workshop on Mars Colony, taking apart a Concord power cell. The Concord had strict rules against this. Humans were only allowed to use their technology, not understand it. "What did you find?" asked Dr. Olivia Grant as she entered the workshop. She closed the door quickly behind her. Alan pointed to the inner parts of the power cell. "Look at this. The casing is designed to waste energy. It's running at maybe 30% of what it could do." Olivia frowned. "Are you sure it's not for safety?" "No, it's deliberate," Alan said. "I've checked 20 different devices. They're all the same. They're giving us watered-down versions of everything." Olivia sat down next to him. As a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms, she had made her own discovery. "I've been comparing human biology to Concord species. We're physically stronger than most of them. Our bodies heal faster too. I think they're afraid of us." On the other side of Mars Colony, Commander John Miller prepared for his first mission with a Concord peacekeeping force. He had trained for 2 years for this opportunity. The Concord was sending ships to stop pirates near the Centauri system. "Remember your position, Commander," said the Concord officer, a tall, thin alien named Krell. "You are an observer only. Stay on the bridge and do not interfere." John nodded, hiding his disappointment. "I understand." During the mission, John watched as Concord ships surrounded the pirates. The battle was quick, but 3 Concord ships were damaged. John saw tactical mistakes that any human officer would have avoided. "If we attacked from multiple angles, we could have prevented those losses," John said afterward. Krell looked at him coldly. "Class D species do not advise on military matters. Your presence here is a courtesy." Meanwhile, in a grand hall on the Concord Central World, the Council of Elders discussed the human problem. "They are advancing too quickly," said Elder Vix, her voice echoing in the chamber. "Their engineers keep trying to modify our technology. And their physical capabilities are concerning," added Elder Zorn. "They can survive conditions that would kill most of our species." Ambassador Zixtal, who had first contacted Earth, tried to calm the council. "They are still primitive in many ways. Their emotions make them unpredictable, but also easy to control. As long as we limit their knowledge, they pose no threat." The council voted to further restrict human access to advanced technology. Humans would remain useful workers, nothing more. That same day, on a distant mining colony near the edge of Concord space, alarms blared. A human supervisor named Greg Willis rushed to the control room. "What's happening?" he asked. The Concord manager looked scared. "Ships are approaching." "It's the Vex." "Who are the Vex?" Greg asked. "A hostile species from beyond our borders. They attack without warning. We must evacuate the important staff." "What about the human workers?" Greg asked. The manager was already leaving. "The evacuation ships won't fit everyone. Concord citizens have priority." Greg watched in horror as the alien ships took off, leaving 300 human workers behind. He sent an emergency message to Earth, but it was too late. The Vex ships entered orbit and started bombing the colony. Back on Earth, Director Catherine White of Earth Intelligence received the message from the mining colony. It cut off suddenly. She rushed to inform Admiral Frank Dawson. "The Concord abandoned our people," she said, showing him the message. "We lost everyone on that colony." Admiral Dawson's face hardened. "Contact the Concord Council. I want answers." The Concord's response came hours later. "We regret the loss of your workers. We offer our thoughts and prayers in this difficult time." That was the moment something changed in humanity's relationship with the stars. It was the day the requests for help began to stop. 2 weeks after the Vex attack, Director Catherine White sat in a dark room surrounded by screens. She had been searching through Concord messages that Earth Intelligence had secretly copied. What she found made her angry. "They knew," she told Admiral Frank Dawson when he entered the room. "The Concord knew about the Vex threat for months. They moved their own people out of the danger zone, but left our miners there. Admiral Dawson looked at the proof on the screens. His face showed no emotion, but his hands formed tight fists. "How many died?" he asked. 327, Catherine said. "Men and women who trusted the Concord to protect them." Admiral Dawson made a decision that would change humanity's future. "From now on, we protect our own. Start Project Hammer. Use civilian factories if you have to." Catherine nodded. "We'll need to keep it secret from the Concord." "Do whatever it takes," the Admiral said. In a workshop beneath Mars Colony, engineer Ryan Lewis studied the damaged parts from a Concord defense system. The Concord had said these parts couldn't be fixed or changed by humans. Ryan disagreed. "The problem isn't that we can't understand their technology," he told Alan Peterson. "It's that they don't understand what we can do with it." Ryan had discovered that Concord weapons used energy in very specific ways. By changing the flow paths inside the weapons, he could make them 5 times more powerful. No Concord engineer had ever tried this because their training told them it was impossible. "Will it work?" Alan asked. Ryan smiled. "It already does. I've tested it." Across the solar system, human factories began making parts that looked like normal items. A cooling system for a farm dome could become part of a ship's engine. Metal supports for buildings could form the spine of a warship. The Concord representatives never noticed. On a moon base, Commander John Miller trained human soldiers in secret. They learned to fight in space and use modified Concord weapons. They called themselves the Earth Defense Force, though no such force officially existed. 3 months later, another human outpost detected approaching Vex ships. This time, humanity was ready. Sending distress signal to the Concord, reported communications officer Susan Bell on the small station orbiting the outpost. "They won't come in time," said Station Chief Perry Green. "They never do." Then something unexpected appeared on their screens. A human ship emerged from behind the moon. It was bigger than any ship the Concord had given humanity permission to build. Its sides were smooth black metal with the Earth Alliance symbol painted in white. "This is Captain Diane Rivers of the Earth Ship Defender," a voice said over the radio. "We received your distress call. We're here to help." The Vex ships approached, 8 in total. They were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. The Defender was just one ship. What happened next shocked everyone watching. The Defender moved faster than any Concord ship, dodging Vex attacks. Its weapons cut through Vex shields like they weren't there. Captain Rivers used tactics no Concord commander would try, flying directly at the enemy and twisting away at the last second. In 20 minutes, 3 Vex ships were destroyed. The others retreated. On the station, Chief Green stared at the screen in disbelief. How did they do that? The next day, a Concord diplomatic ship arrived. Ambassador Zixtal looked angry as he met with Earth officials. "You built an unauthorized warship," he said. "This violates your membership agreement." President Helen Rodriguez didn't back down. 300 humans died because you didn't protect them. We're protecting ourselves now. "This is unacceptable," Zixtal said. "The Concord will impose sanctions on Earth." "Do what you must," President Rodriguez replied. "But know this, we will not watch our people die again." After the meeting, Admiral Dawson spoke quietly to Catherine White. "They're afraid now." "Good, but we need more ships." Catherine smiled. "Project Hammer is just the beginning. Wait until they see what we're really capable of." 1 month after the battle with the Vex, Admiral Dawson and Director White met in an underground facility on Earth's moon. This secret base, hidden beneath the surface, was where humanity's future was being planned. Project Prometheus is now active. Admiral Dawson told the small group of military leaders and scientists gathered around the table. "Our goal is simple: achieve complete technological independence from the Concord." Director White pointed to a map of human colonies. "We're establishing secret research labs on every colony. Each one works on a different part of the puzzle so the Concord can't learn what we're doing. In one such lab on Europa, Dr. Noah Phillips studied the Concord faster than light drive. The Concord claimed humans couldn't improve the drive, but Noah had discovered something interesting. "Look at this," he told his team, pointing to a section of the drive. "The safety limiters are built into the control system. The drive itself can go 3 times faster than they allow." His assistant, Dr. Gina Murray, looked concerned. "Why would they limit it?" "Control," Noah said simply. "If we can't go beyond their reach, we can't become a threat." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Maria Martinez had a different mission. Disguised as a cleaner on a Concord archive station, she carefully planted a small device in a data terminal. Back in her quarters, she watched as classified Concord files appeared on her screen. Most of the information was boring administrative details, but then she found something important. It was the original classification report for humanity from 5 years ago. The label wasn't Class D developing species as they had been told. It read, Class D, potentially dangerous, requires monitoring and technology restriction. Maria sent the information back to Earth using a hidden transmitter. The Concord had been lying from the beginning. On Earth, the leaders of all human colonies gathered for what appeared to be a cultural festival. In reality, they were forming the Earth Alliance, a unified government for all human settlements. They signed the agreement in secret while smiling for Concord cameras during dance performances. Admiral Dawson watched the fake festival from his office. "How long until they notice?" he asked Catherine White. "They're not looking for it," she replied. "They still think we're just angry but harmless." One of Dawson's officers entered the room with urgent news. "Admiral, we've detected a massive Vex fleet moving toward Concord space, at least 50 ships." Dawson studied the data. "Where are they heading?" "The Centauri sector. There's a major Concord world there, and 3 smaller colonies. 2 of them have human workers." Catherine frowned. "The Concord Defense Fleet is on the other side of their territory. They won't get there in time." "How many humans are on those colonies?" Dawson asked. "Nearly 2,000, the officer replied. Dawson was quiet for a moment. Then he pressed a button on his desk. "This is Admiral Dawson. Activate Defense Fleet Alpha. Prepare for immediate deployment." Catherine looked surprised. "Alpha isn't ready for combat. We plan to test those ships for another 3 months." "Those colonists don't have 3 months," Dawson said. The next day, a Concord diplomatic ship arrived at Earth. Inside was a high-ranking Concord official named Elder Vix, looking unusually worried. "We've detected a large Vex fleet heading toward the Centauri sector," she told President Rodriguez. "We regret to inform you that some human workers may be at risk." "And what are you doing about it?" the president asked. "Our main fleet is responding, but they may not arrive in time," Elder Vix said. "We come seeking human assistance. Perhaps your ship defender could help evacuate some key personnel." President Rodriguez looked at Admiral Dawson, who nodded slightly. "We will help," she told Elder Vix, "but not just with one ship." Elder Vix looked confused. "You only have one warship capable of faster-than-light travel." "Do we?" President Rodriguez said. "Perhaps you should check your information." That evening, 50 human ships emerged from hidden bases throughout the solar system. They formed into a fleet and prepared to jump to the Centauri sector. The Concord representatives watched in shock as humanity revealed its true strength. The human fleet arrived at the Centauri sector 12 hours before the Vex. Elder Vix stood on the bridge of her diplomatic vessel, watching in disbelief as 50 human warships moved into defensive positions around the threatened planets. "How is this possible?" she asked Admiral Dawson, who had joined her ship as a liaison. "We've been busy," Dawson said simply. Each human ship was different from the others. Some were large and heavily armored. Others were small and fast. The Concord always built ships in matching sets, following standard designs. The human ships looked like they had been built by different teams with different ideas. Captain Eric Ward commanded the lead ship, the Orion. He organized the fleet into a formation no Concord commander would use. Smaller ships in front, larger ones behind. "The Vex will expect us to protect ourselves first," he told his crew. "We're going to do the opposite. We'll draw their fire while protecting the colonies." When the Vex fleet arrived, they faced something they didn't expect. Human ships darted between their formation, breaking their battle lines. The Vex used psychic attacks that had always worked against Concord species, but the humans seemed unaffected. On her research ship, Dr. Olivia Grant monitored brain scans of human crew members. "It's just as I thought," she told her assistant. "Human brains process the Vex signals differently. What paralyzes other species only gives us mild headaches." As the battle raged, a Concord defense fleet finally arrived. They stayed at the edge of the fighting, watching in amazement as human ships took hits that would destroy Concord vessels, yet kept fighting. Engineer Ryan Lewis' modified weapons tore through Vex shields. The human ships used the faster-than-light drives in short jumps during battle, something the Concord had always said was too dangerous to attempt. But it worked, allowing human ships to appear behind Vex vessels and attack from unexpected angles. On one of the threatened colonies, Concord citizens watched from shelters as human ships destroyed Vex attackers directly overhead. The humans were taking greater risks to protect the ground, flying lower than necessary and drawing fire away from the settlements. After 6 hours of fighting, the Vex retreated. They had lost 23 ships. The humans had lost 7 but had saved all 3 colonies. Every Concord citizen and human worker had survived. Captain Ward received a message from the Concord fleet commander. "Your tactics violated 17 standard battle protocols." Ward smiled as he replied, "But they worked." News of the battle spread quickly across the galaxy. Species that had never heard of humans before were suddenly talking about the primitive beings who had defeated the dreaded Vex. Concord news reports tried to downplay the human role, but video of the battle had already spread too far. On the Concord Central World, the Council of Elders met in an emergency session. "How did they build so many ships without our knowledge?" Elder Zorn demanded. "They modify our basic designs," another elder said, "but they improved them in ways our engineers never considered." Ambassador Zixtal looked worried. "We have underestimated them from the beginning. Their adaptability is unlike anything we've seen before." Elder Vix, who had witnessed the battle, spoke quietly. "They fought differently than we would have. They placed themselves in danger to protect others. The question now," said the head elder, "is whether to thank them or declare them a threat to Concord's stability." Back on the Orion, Captain Ward received a message from Admiral Dawson. "Well done. Bring the fleet home." As the human ships prepared to return to Earth, they received hundreds of messages from the colonies they had saved. Both humans and Concord citizens expressed their gratitude. The crews saved these messages, knowing that regardless of what the Concord Council decided, they had done the right thing. On Earth, Dr. Noah Phillips watched the reports of the battle. He turned to his team and smiled. "Now we can move to Phase 2. Phase 2 of Project Prometheus was something the Concord would never expect. Complete redesign of faster-than-light travel. Humanity was no longer content to modify Concord technology. They were ready to surpass it. 3 weeks after the battle in the Centauri sector, something unexpected happened. The Vex sent a message to Earth, not to the Concord. They wanted to talk. They're requesting peace talks. President Rodriguez told her advisors. But only with humans, not the Concord. Admiral Dawson looked suspicious. "It could be a trap." "Maybe," the president said. "But we need to try. I'm sending Ambassador Claire Owens to meet them." The Concord protested immediately. Ambassador Zixtal arrived at the president's office looking worried. "This is highly irregular," he said. "The Concord handles all diplomatic relations with outside species. You cannot meet the Vex alone." President Rodriguez stood firm. "They asked for us specifically. If you want to join the talks, you'll need to ask the Vex for permission." This was something new in the galaxy, a Class D species setting its own diplomatic path. The Concord had no choice but to accept it. Ambassador Claire Owens met with the Vex leader on a neutral space station. The Vex looked like tall, thin beings with 4 arms and skin that changed colors as they spoke. To everyone's surprise, Claire spoke to them without translators, having learned their language in just 2 weeks. "You fight differently than the Concord," the Vex leader said. "You take risks to protect others. We respect this." Claire nodded. "We protect our own, and those who cannot protect themselves." After 3 days of talks, they'd reached an agreement. The Vex would stop attacking human colonies. In exchange, humans would help establish a neutral zone between Vex and Concord space. Both sides would benefit. When Claire returned with the peace agreement, the Concord Council was shocked. They had been fighting the Vex for decades with no success, yet humans had achieved peace in 3 days. "You exceeded your authority," Elder Zorn told President Rodriguez. "Class D species cannot make independent treaties." "We just did," she replied simply. Meanwhile, other species classified as lower class by the Concord began reaching out to humanity. They saw how humans had stood up to the Concord and wanted to learn more. A reptilian species called the Drakkar asked for human protection against raiders. A peaceful race of scientists called the Lumen wanted to exchange knowledge. Even the mysterious gas-based Neri, who rarely spoke to anyone, sent messages to Earth. Captain Eric Ward found himself teaching human battle tactics at a small school on Mars. To his surprise, students from other species began attending, traveling secretly from their homeworlds to learn from humans. "Why do you want to learn our methods?" he asked a young Drakkar student. "Because you think differently," the student said. "The Concord teaches one way to fight, one way to build ships, one way to do everything. But you humans try new things." The Concord noticed these meetings and tried to stop them. They placed restrictions on human expansion, limiting where human ships could go. But they quickly realized they lacked the military power to enforce these rules. On Europa, Dr. Noah Phillips and engineer Ryan Lewis finished their greatest project, a new kind of faster-than-light drive that operated at 85% efficiency, nearly 3 times better than Concord drives. "We didn't just modify their technology," Ryan told Admiral Dawson as they watched the first test. "We completely redesigned it based on our understanding of physics." The test ship disappeared in a flash of light and reappeared exactly where they had planned, having traveled 50 light-years in minutes instead of hours. Admiral Dawson smiled. "How long until we can install these on all our ships?" 3 months, Ryan said. "Maybe less." On Earth, President Rodriguez prepared for a galaxy-changing announcement. Humanity would declare its formal independence from Concord regulation while maintaining friendly relations. Ambassador Zixtal made one final attempt to prevent this. "If you do this, you will lose access to Concord markets and protection." "We appreciate your concern," President Rodriguez said politely. "But we've made our decision." That night, humanity sent its message to the stars. They were no longer asking for help. They were offering it on their own terms. 10 years passed since humanity declared independence from Concord regulations. The galaxy had changed in ways no one expected. Admiral Lisa Harrington, once captain of the U.S. Defiant when humans first met aliens, now stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, the Unity. She looked out at the stars, remembering how different things had been. "Admiral, the representatives are ready in the conference room," said her first officer. Lisa nodded and walked through the massive ship. The Unity was the largest vessel humans had ever built. It combined human creativity with technology from a dozen different species. It was a symbol of what humanity had become. In the conference room, leaders from 7 formerly lower-class species waited. Together with humanity, they had formed the Stellar Covenant. Unlike the Concord, which ranked species by development level, the Covenant treated all members as equals. "The Drakkar mining colony is ready," said the reptilian representative. "Our people work well with humans. The Lumen have completed the new medical technology," added another alien. "It will save millions of lives." Lisa listened as they discussed their projects. The Stellar Covenant had grown quickly, focusing on cooperation rather than control. They shared knowledge freely, which led to rapid advances in technology. On the edge of Covenant space, human ships patrolled alongside Vex vessels. The former enemies now worked together to protect trading routes. Captain Eric Ward, now a fleet commander, had trained crews from 5 different species in human tactics. Meanwhile, Ambassador Claire Owens prepared for her most important mission yet. She would return to the Concord Council chamber, not as a representative of a Class D species, but as the voice of the Stellar Covenant. When Claire entered the Grand Council chamber, the room fell silent. 10 years ago, humans had come here begging for membership and help. Now she walked in as an equal, perhaps even more. Elder Zixtal, once Ambassador Zixtal who had first contacted Earth, watched her approach. He had aged considerably, his once blue skin now pale. Representatives of the Concord, Claire began, her voice strong. I bring greetings from the Stellar Covenant. We come to formalize relations between our governments. The head elder spoke carefully. The Concord acknowledges the Stellar Covenant as a legitimate galactic power. We seek peaceful cooperation. These simple words represented a massive shift in the galaxy. The Concord, which had ruled for thousands of years, now treated a group led by humans as equals. After the meeting, Elder Zixtal approached Claire privately. I never imagined this outcome when I first visited Earth. We thought humans would remain dependent on us for centuries. Claire smiled. You taught us many things, Elder. Perhaps the most important lesson was that we needed to find our own path. Back on Earth, in the Museum of First Contact, the original message from the Concord was displayed. We will help you grow. We will share some technology, protect you from dangerous species, and guide your development. Next to it was the first message sent by the Stellar Covenant to a newly discovered species. We offer friendship and exchange of knowledge. Your path is yours to choose. We will not guide you, but walk beside you. Admiral Harrington stood before a crowd at the launch of humanity's newest vessel. This ship would go beyond known space, exploring regions neither the Concord nor the Vex had visited. When we first met aliens, she told the crowd, we thought we needed their help to survive in the galaxy. We were wrong. What we needed was to believe in ourselves and to find friends, not masters. The new ship's name was painted on its hull, Prometheus. It represented humanity's journey from taking fire from the gods to sharing it with others. As Prometheus prepared to leave, it received messages from dozens of species, both from the Covenant and the Concord. The galaxy watched as humans took their next step into the unknown. Humanity no longer requested help from the stars. Instead, they had become the ones that others turned to when help was needed. And when enemies appeared, they were the ones others feared to face.